And then profile is usually the next thing we talk about because it's really what they say. It's like your costume in this life. It's how you go about embodying these things in your chart because it's really like how you like to learn. It's how you gather information. It's what people come to you for. I mean, there's just a lot of layers in profile. Human Design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, your Human Design guide.
And I'm Haley, on this journey with you to uncover the power of human design.
Together, we're here to explore how embracing your authentic self is the ultimate path to a life of more freedom and fulfillment.
Welcome to the Human Design Hive Podcast. Let's get into it.
Well, hello there, Haley. How are you?
I think you just said my name with like 3 syllables.
And you
really dragged it out.
Feeling singy-songy today. Good to see you. Welcome back, everybody, to the Human Design Hive Podcast. As I said in the introduction, I am Dana, and you're listening to me and my beautiful daughter, Haley.
Hi.
Hi. I realized when I was listening to podcasts that, like, I always forget to say that, but I'm like, what's in the introduction? So yeah. They just heard it, even if we don't hear it. But So I've been listening recently to, this is a total indulgence like podcast, but so this is me, little glimpse into things that just I enjoy doing. So I am a fan of the Real Housewives
franchises.
And the ones that I really like haven't been on. So I had started watching just when I cook. I've got this big open living room kitchen situation. And usually I'm alone cooking. And so I usually have something on the TV to watch. So I've been watching the Housewives of Potomac. And I didn't go all the way back to the beginning. I just started like season 6 or 7 or something. But there's 2 ladies on there, Giselle and Robin, and I felt they had just started a podcast in the season. This was like, I think when I started listening or watching the show, it was like post-COVID, maybe it was 2022 or something like that. And they had started a podcast called Reasonably Shady. And and it's still on now. And so I'm also kind of listening to it a bit. And they're just 2 friends talking. They just talk about stuff, but I find them wildly entertaining. I don't know why. I've been listening to it. I think I just got into it because being the whole podcasting thing, I was like, oh, here we are, podcast world. But anyways, it's a fun little podcast. They just talk about current events, which is so funny because since it's back in time that I'm listening, because I was thinking about this, we have this podcast and we, we do transit. So we're talking about what's going on in the day or whatever. But some of the things they were talking about, I'm like, oh yeah, lots changed in the last 2 years or so because they had just started talking about people were taking this diabetes drug called Ozempic to lose weight.
Oh.
And I'm like, now everybody takes Ozempic. But they are also talking about P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs, and about something to do with his music rights or people that he had settled stuff. And they're like, oh, well, maybe he just figures now, I'm set. I've got everything. I don't need anything. I'm thinking, oh my God, how much changes. And no, he's looking at a lot of prison time.
Yeah.
Just all these strange things and I'm very excited to see what happens when I get caught up to this year because boy, there's so much happening out there in the world that I mean, what did we say last week? May felt like the whole year.
May was long.
But anyways, so just a little aside there. It has nothing to do with really anything we're talking about today. And so if you're one of those people that say, that leave comments that say, oh, you talk too much about other stuff. Well, I'm sorry. I am a human.
Sorry, that's us.
We have already talked for a half hour off mic catching up. So sometimes it bleeds into the podcast. But I promise you, we are getting to the topic at hand and we will do so now.
Don't be so.
We appreciate you listening. And we appreciate you listening to all of it, and maybe not just the human design stuff, because, it's how we roll. So, profiles.
Yes.
We've been doing a
Yes.
series. We have had several. I'm trying to remember where we started. We did the 1-3, the 5-1, the 6-2, the 3-5, the 3-6.
And now this one?
I think there's and the 1-4, because we were getting halfway through. We did the 1-4.
Okay.
And so now, because we were like, okay, that was the last one we had done. I can't remember if it was 3-6 or 1-4. That was number 6.
It was
So
the 3-6.
yeah, so there's 12 profiles in the human design system, and we have gotten through half of them. And we like people like hearing about profile. We like talking about profile because it is the part of your chart most likely that resonates with you when you first come to human design, because it's like, oh, that's totally like how I do things. That's how I interact with people. That's the way I learn. That's the way I like to learn. And so profile basically is, your type and strategy is kind of the role you play as far as how we all handle energy in the world. If you're designed to respond to life, if you're designed to initiate, if you're designed to be invited in with your energy, that's your type and your strategy. And then authority, of course, is how you help make decisions. And then profile is usually the next thing we talk about, because it's really what they say. It's like your costume in this life. It's how you go about embodying these things in your chart, because it's really like how you like to learn. It's how you gather information. It's what people come to you for. I mean, there's just a lot of layers in profile. So even though this is a series, you can tell that I am a generator who doesn't plan very much, because I don't have a script. I don't have the same thing laid out every time to tell you what profile is. So again, that's just how I do things. But Haley, I'm gonna stop talking for a minute and let you tell us where we get profile from in the chart, how you can find your profile other than, just a printout telling you.
Yes.
Go for it.
So, go. So, when you're looking at your chart, you have your 2 columns of numbers, and they all have a decimal point. And so, to determine what your profile lines are, you start by looking at the sun and the earth, the top 2 numbers on the right side, which is I can't remember now what color.
What do you mean?
The right side, what color?
It's black.
Black.
On a traditional
design
chart, it's the traditional colors are the right side of the chart is black. It's the conscious personality side.
Yeah. And see, now I question it. I spelled Tuesday wrong once in my bullet journal, and I have to seriously think about it or look at it every time I go and write Tuesday in my journal now, because I misspelled it once. That's how my brain works. But
yeah, that's Wednesday. I got
Wednesday. I got that one.
Wednesday.
It flows. But back to profiles. So the first number is going to be from the right side, the black numbers. The top 2 numbers is going to be your sun and the earth, and the decimal point after that. So it's going to be point, your first line. Second line, same thing. You're just looking over on the left side on the red numbers. That'll be your second profile line.
You are correct.
E.
Yes. And so it corresponds to the hexagrams of the Chinese I Ching. That is one of the components of human design and where the system came from. There's that element of these hexagram lines. And when you're looking at your chart, you'll see every planetary placement there has a decimal point, and then a number. And they're all going to be between 1 and 6. And so the hexagrams are these lines that are different layers of expression in a way of the energies within that gate. And so all of the profiles are pretty much a combination. Well, they are a combination of these 6 numbers. That's why there's
Mhm.
12 of them. There's 12 combinations of numbers. And for the most part, you're going to have a mixture of an upper and lower trigram number. So you're going to have a mixture
Mhm.
of like 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, 6. I think I'm getting in the weeds here. I don't want to make it too complicated. But, anyways, we'll just rein it back in. So today's profile is the one that's a little different because we're
One
going to
of
be,
the ones.
we're going to be talking about the 4-6 profile. So
Mhm.
when we were talking about just now those hexagram lines, let's go ahead and put our little segment in here. This is the one thing we've been trying to do with each one to drive the point home of in the traditional human design. In the book, the definitive book, Human Design, there's this description of kind of a visual to help you with these line expressions, kind of the energy that they are. And, Haley's rolling her eyes, she's like, sort of, kind of. But,
Yeah.
anyways, he gives a house analogy. There's a house
Yes.
analogy. And so let's briefly go through that house analogy again, Haley. So
Yes.
from line
Okay.
1 to line 6.
Yes. So the analogy, a standard 2-story house. That's where we start. The line 1 is the foundation, the floor, the first floor. It's the base. It's very solid. It's your foundation. The line 2 is the first floor windows, but the curtains are open so people can see the line 2 inside. The line 3 is the staircase up to the second floor. The line 4 is the floor, the line 4 is the floor, the foundation of the second floor. So kind of similar to the first, to line 1. So that's the line 4. Line 5 is the second story windows, but the shades are closed, so you can't really see in. You can't see the line 5 in there. And then the line 6 is the roof. I don't have much
It's the
else to
roof.
say to that one. It's the roof.
Yes. And so basically how this is supposed to help you is to see that the line 1 is when you're looking at a hexagram, it's 6 lines stacked on top of each other, and it starts line 1 on the bottom and then it goes up to 6. And the line 1 is a foundational energy, like you said. It's looking for stability in the material world. It likes to learn through information, through knowledge. It gathers. It's the researcher. It likes to go deep. Line 2 is the hermit, and that's the one that, it says it's on the ground floor, but the curtains are open because a line 2 carries a projection field. And what that means is that it likes to hide. It wants to be inside. It doesn't really want to come outside. But the more that the line 2, because they like to be in their own process, it's how they learn. They just kind of naturally pick things up. If they're interested in something, they're going to, sometimes they just have a natural talent for something. And people are very curious as to what they know, how they know it, how they do it. And that's why it's like they're observed, even though they don't really want to be out in the world, but people need them. So they want to see what they're doing so they can draw them out. The line 3 is that experimental energy. It learns through trying things, getting its hands dirty, really manipulating things. The line 4 is foundational relationships. 5 is upstairs with the curtains closed because it doesn't really want anyone to know what it's doing. It kind of
Mm-mm.
tends to hide. It has a more universalizing energy, great problem solvers, very logical, innovative solutions. And then the line 6 on the roof, because they say the 6 has the long view of life. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit more here in just a minute, because we are talking about a line 6 profile. But they being on the roof is a big part of their life, is a term you hear a lot in human design. You hear it right up front with the line 6. So
Yeah.
with that sort of quick illustration there, let's think about the 4-6 profile. So generally, the first 3 lines, the 1, 2, and 3, they say has a more personal what they call a personal destiny, in the sense that the path they walk in life is going to be more self-focused.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 4, 5, 6 are more transpersonal lines, because it's about whatever the first 3 lines have learned. The upper trigram, those 3 lines are about bringing that energy out, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
those that are, like I said, most of the profiles are a combination of these lines. And so you might say, oh, it has a line 1 in it, so it's a totally like personally focused path, but it's not, because a line 1 can be mixed with different numbers. The most self-focused one is the 1, 3, because it does have the
Mm-hmm.
1 and the 3, both lower trigram numbers. It is very, and when we say self-focused, we mean that they, I mean, we need them. They're
Mm-hmm.
really good at getting to the foundation of things and testing it and making sure everything's solid. Now, the 4, 6, you would think, because they're both upper trigram numbers,
Mm-hmm.
that it would be like this totally transpersonal, like outwardly focused profile. But this is
Mm-hmm.
the one of the anomalies in the system that most people, I mean, I've read books, profile books, I've studied with teachers, and it's like everybody's like, kind of really don't know why it's considered a personal profile. And the
So it's just
best
in general considered a personal one when it's
the best I can, I mean, I
okay.
was doing some more research today, and the best I can get at is that, the line 4, let's talk about the line 4. What do you know about the line 4, other than it's the second floor window, right? Well, do you remember what the name is
All
for the line 4?
the name, the opportunist.
Yo, good job. Didn't even have to think about that one.
I know that one came to me.
Yeah.
But like the big thing with the line 4 is like they're a little group of people. That's the biggest thing. It's so relationship based. It's all about like making these connections, connecting the right people with the right people, and like it very much it likes its people. Makes you feel safe.
It is. So it is getting to the foundations of what it means to be in relationship. And so they, like you said, their relationships are very important to them. And their opportunities, the opportunist, why it's called the opportunist, is because a lot of their opportunities in life come to them through the people they know. So these are personal relationships. And in general, the line 4, since it's always searching for a foundation, a solid, steady, something it can depend on, there's an inherent insecurity within the line 4, because once it never feels quite safe, because it's always on this quest to understand what is a stable relationship. Like, who can I trust? Who can reciprocate for me? They're very much like, in their relationships, even in the romantic relationships, they usually start off as friends first, because they like to have a solid foundation to build upon when it comes to their relationships. It makes them feel more emotionally secure when they feel like they really know who the person is. So even it's like friendships, partnerships, even in business, like these are the kind of people that are going to want to have a relationship even with people they're in business with, not like a romantic relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but they are known for being tend to be seen as, viewed as friendly, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just something
They
that.
they don't want to just be on the surface relationship if it's a relationship that's important to them. They don't want just the surface. They want to like get deep and make it meaningful.
Yeah, because it's builds a strong foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the line 4, then, why it's creating that foundation, like we said, it has it's not like it just wants to be friends with everybody or anything like that. It knows that in order for like its message, or its work, or whatever it is that it has been interested in and been working on in its life, usually through one of those lower trigram numbers, like there's a 2 4, there's a 1 4, there's a 1 4, 2 4, 4 6, 4 1. And so those are the different 4 profiles. And so it's about sharing with their network whatever it is that they know, or that's kind of the basis of it. It's creating networks to then get that information out there, because we said line 5s are a lot more like they don't have to have personal relationships. 5s and 6 don't have to have personal relationships with people to impact them, but in general a line 4 is very much about impacting those around them that they know personal. Like they can have very serious impacts. Serious, that sounds serious. They can have very meaningful impact on the people in their lives without even really trying. It's like for them, it is about creating the relationship and the trust and that. And so I know as I started saying that, there was something I was relating it to, but I can't remember now. So let's go on to the 6 part of this, right? Of this profile. You are a line 6, you're a 6-2. Right. Yes. Do you want to tell us briefly about the triphasic path of the line 6?
Yes. So the triphasic life of a line 6. So the first phase of it, of a line 6, which is up to about 30 years old, somewhere around there, the line 6 acts more like a line 3. So it's a lot of experimenting, trying out different things, really just kind of trying a bunch of things and kind of just seeing what you learn from it, what you like, how it shapes out, like what can you gain from it, like all kinds of things. Just a lot of trying things out. And then from 30 to about 50, I believe, is the second phase, which is where you will hear the term going up on the roof. The line 6 goes up on the roof. And this is a time of just kind of the line 6 does less experimenting, kind of settles down, starts to, a lot of times this is where people start their families, they start businesses. Like it's a lot of growth, but it's just kind of more stable and just kind of like moving through. And then after the third phase, so after that one, the third phase is when you will hear the term coming off the roof. And this is kind of when the line 6 doesn't necessarily like re-enter society. They haven't left society, but they kind of like, they come off the roof and they step into this kind of role of just kind of showing other people how to very authentically live your life, and just kind of like this, when a line 6 really steps into that role model title.
Correct. And yes, and so that's when we talk about, earlier we said about the line 6, being represented by that roof and the house analogy, having that long view. And that's something that many line 6 I've talked to can relate to, this innate sense that there's so much more than most people. They see a lot more than what most people see. They can see farther along in life. If it's not like they're psychic, but it's more like they say that the couple things about line 6 is searching for perfection, and they're searching for things that they can trust. And so it's like they understand that there's a part of them, this isn't all like cognitive stuff, but it's like there's a part of their soul that understands that this is a long game, that they're here in life, and that there is when I say the long game, it's like they are less likely, in my opinion, to be caught up in the minutia of things sometimes, because it's like, let's look at the bigger picture kind of thing is the line 6. It's always like, let's look at the bigger picture. But earlier in life, like you were saying, with that line 3 experimenting, trialing, exploring energy that is present earlier in life is not particularly harmonious with the line 4. And so this is, even though these are upper trigram numbers, but they are a little bit, they're not a very harmonious pairing, because for different reasons. Like in general, the 4-6 is more looking to make connections and everything. The line 6 is known for being a little bit holding back and observing more.
Mm-hmm.
They like to kind of have a overview of things, whereas the line 4 is more,
I
you know,
got, I got,
connecting. What?
I got an idea on how to describe it. So like the line 4 at a party is like on the dance floor talking to everybody. Like, yeah,
Maybe not on the dance floor.
but I'm saying they're in the thick of it. They're
From my
making the
line 4
connection.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And you're say, girl, get out of here with that face.
I've been talking to the people at the table, I guess,
But that's what
maybe.
I'm saying. You're in the thick of it. You're making the connections. You're chatting with people, and the line 6 is going to be the person that is maybe sitting at the table with that and there, or you're off in the along the side of the wall, like just kind of the line 6 is more out of it observing. So like
Hmm.
you can see how those two lines would be conflicting because they're very, very different.
Yes, and so the line 4, like I said, is more nourished, like I said, by friendship and relationships. And the line 6, now this can happen on the line 4 too, but the line 6 can get a little exhausted by all the contact as well because
So
it's
much.
just a lot. But a line 4 also actually needs time away from people as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a misunderstanding, I think, a lot about the 4 is because kind of like what you described. Oh, you're on the dance floor and you think of it. They're just because they're line 4 doesn't mean they're like extroverted, always wanting to be around people. Because I'm a line 4, and when I would first hear that too, I'm like, I like people,
Yeah, you call
and
yourself like a what would you say, an extroverted invert or introverted expert? Extrovert.
one of those ambivert. I mean, I like my people, and that's what a lot of line 4s will relate to is that it's not so much the number of relationships they have, the number of
Mhm.
friendships. A lot of line 4s don't have a ton and ton of, friends, but they know a lot of people.
Mhm.
And they also, because I was thinking about this earlier today when I was, about this episode, thinking about it, I was like, I'm pretty sure that whether it's my line 4ness, I'm sure it's a part of it, is I can probably pretty much reach out to people I haven't even talked to in a while. And if I'm genuinely trying to connect with them, like they understand that,
Mhm.
I don't get blown off very often, because when I have connected with these people before, it's been genuine. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
like I feel the energy that I usually go into these even acquaintances is from a level of curiosity and interest in them, and but also like you said, when we're like on calls or when we're talking to people, and I'm always thinking who to connect with what, or how it connects to me, or how we could make a connection, or how we could work together. Like I mean, there's a lot of things
Mhm.
in my design, but certainly line 4 is part of it. But as much as I like my people, I
Mhm.
just can't be around people all the time. Like, I don't
Mhm.
like being in big groups and social life and all that other stuff. But I like lately, I've been feeling also, it's like, I really need to reconnect with some of my friends here locally, even. Like,
Mhm.
we all live here, but we see each other like 4 times a year. It's like, no, I need to do better at
Yeah.
that because not that it's like, it does feel more nourishing. Like I really genuinely care about the people in my life. Not that say you don't if you're not a line 4. I know you
Mhm.
do. But it's
It
definitely
just
your
has more meaning to
relationships.
you.
Yeah, because you put a lot into your relationships, and it's not something that you are even as a line 4 probably even consciously aware of. It's just how you do things, right? It's
Mhm.
just how it is. And so this being in the conscious placement in your chart, the 4 coming first, that probably feels like a big part of your life. Now you could see early in life, depending on where you are, as if you are a 4/6, in what stage of your life you're in. If you're still before the age of 30, roughly, this can feel quite uncomfortable because you really want to make connections and you want to build these relationships, but that
Mhm.
line 3 aspect of the 6 is like Nope, this one's not good enough. Nope, on to the next one. Nope. Oh, maybe this one over here. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
searching for quote unquote perfection. So it goes through that, bonds made and broken. That's just one possibility. I mean, not all line sixes do that. As yourself, you have found your mate. At least we think so. You're married. you
10 years
know,
have been together.
yeah. Some people, because the line six is always looking for that
Mm-hmm.
soulmate, but it may not find it in that first 30 years, and so there can be a little bit of relational missingness in the
Unrest.
first part of your life, and then as you go up on the roof, when it's time to just kind of settle down a little bit, it's a little bit easier. It'd be more likely a chance the 4-6 to find their kind of forever partner or more long-term partners usually later in life, and it may even be surprising to them that it's somebody they've already known for a long time, as a
Highline
4-6.
4.
Yeah, because like I said, they like stability. And one thing they say about the line 4 with that stability shows up mostly in that they don't really leave relationships until they have another one lined up. So you can imagine that early line 6 period as well. They don't usually leave jobs until know they have another one. It's like they like to have a solid foundation underneath of them before they make the
The
next move.
unknown is scary.
Yes, they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But so with the 4-6, these are people that can cultivate these deep relationships that can grow over time. It can keep building on itself. Like, they say even with line 4s, they could be married to someone, get divorced, and still end up friends with them. It's because they may have already been friends first. I have the people that are closest to me in my life are people that I have known a very long time. And the ones that have stuck around the longest has been that level of, you pour into your relationships, but it's also the people that will do that for you as well, because that's what a strong relationship is. It's not one-sided. It's
Yeah.
like there's got to be a little bit of both there.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially when we talk about that line 6 and that role model energy, this is very much embodied leadership energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about earlier the upper trigram lines are about externalizing the message or the information or the process or whatever
Mm-hmm.
of the lower trigram. And so one thing I was reading one of the books by Ra today, and it's talking about this is the closest I can get to try to understand this 4-6 being a considered
Personal.
well, yeah, because it's a right angle cross, right? Because we always say the right angle crosses start, the incarnation crosses start with a 1, 2, 3, or it's a 4-6. That's what we always say. And those
Mm-hmm.
are the more personal incarnation cross. Your destiny is more tied to what you personally experience. And you learn through your own personal experiences. And then the left angle crosses are those that start with the 5 or 6 as
Mm-hmm.
the conscious number. So he said in this book that actually the the 4 and the 6, since 1 is foundational, 4 is foundational. It's like those are two foundational lines. So it sounds like it's most harmonious or kind of a upper expression of a 1-3. And I know that sounds, I
I
did
mean,
not
I
explain that very well
no, no,
because
no.
the
I know what you're saying because a 1-3 is our other weird one that's both on the same part of the trigram. So it's 1 and a 3, both the lower trigram. But then you look at the 4 and the 6, which is literally it's the same placements in the respective trigram. So I see what he's saying there.
yeah, because the 4 is trying to get to the foundation, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
6 has that line 3 component to it pretty much throughout its life,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's
And
mostly felt in the early stage of
yeah,
life.
and we talk about the line 6 is always reaching to the line 1, right?
To the next hexagram, yes.
Which would be the line 1. While as the 3 is reaching, the staircase is reaching to the
It's
next hexagram, the
yeah, it's
4.
externalizing. Yeah, so So yeah, so you can kind of
They're
see that
reflective.
in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That, even though it's upper trigram numbers, it is more personal because it's about the relationships that you hold, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not universalizing other types of information. It's basically designed, this 4-6 profile is to, it can hold leadership positions that feel very personal, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
They could speak, they could have a large role and to a large number of people even, but would feel very personal to those people. So like
Mm-hmm.
the Dalai Lama is a 4-6.
Mm.
And so he definitely has a large impact, but also he has those people that are around him, but also when he connects with people, he can connect with people very easily on that one-to-one basis,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. Whereas, with the like a line 5, there's kind of a barrier there with a line 5 or even a line 6, because a line 6 has a little aloofness to it, they call it. And the line 5 is tending to hide out a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
people project onto it. But that line 4 is very much relational. So it carries this like impactful and that leadership role model energy, but in a very personal way. So I guess I could
Mm-hmm.
see why that
I
four
can see.
six is
Yeah.
kind of considered a uh I always get them backwards. I always like have to hold my hand up. I could see why
A
a
four is
four
a
six
left.
could be considered a right angle profile
Uh,
because of this
yeah. Right angle. I
right
said
angle.
left.
Yes,
I
it's
see.
it's
I said
always
it right.
backwards of what I want it
I
to be.
know.
That's how I always know. I'm sure if you could look at a modelon, I think, but I
Uh,
of
uh,
like what a right angle or left angle, but I don't get it.
uh, uh,
It's like math. I don't get it.
it's just one of those things that
Yeah.
we accept and memorize.
Yeah. So, but essentially, 4-6s are here to bring wisdom to their personal networks. And it's done through actual personal connection and friendliness. And so I think about, there's lots of people, but like Karen Curry Parker, who's, quantum human design, she is a
Mm-hmm.
4-6.
Mm.
And she definitely, if you know anything about her, she's had a lot of different stages in her life. She's, even though you kind of on this path that you could look back and see, but she's had a lot of trials, a lot of things she's gone through in life, and it is more now in her, because she's like close to 60, I think now. It was really after she got off the roof is when she became so solid in the information she knows, because she had been studying human design and she had been building her network and building the knowledge and her depth of knowledge over all those years, because she studied with Ra all the way back in 2000 something,
Mm-hmm.
that when she really started fully stepping into her place in it and has been continuously building it, has been in her 50s. And being a student of hers directly, I can tell you that you feel like you know her. I mean, and the way she interacts with, she has a ton of influence, but she's very much a people person. You can see it, but then I've met her in person as well at one of the conferences, and there's this friendliness, but there is still a little bit of like, I don't want to say aloof, because I don't want to give off that impression that she was aloof. She was very warm and very friendly,
Mm-hmm.
but I could tell that also that after a certain time, like I could feel that she needed to go somewhere and be by herself. Not that her mood changed or anything, but it was just kind of a protective measure almost of like, I need to be in my space. But anyway, so she's always somebody I look to when I think about the 4-6, because highly influential, definitely
Mm-hmm.
finding her stride later in life. So some challenges though for the 4-6 is they've got to make sure that they don't six too much, don't spend too much time alone, because they do need to have a strong network through which they can share their message. And so it'd be like you could gather all this information about life and how it is and what you want to share, but if you haven't been spending the time to nurture your relationships, it can be kind of uncomfortable to know that there's no one to connect with. It's probably not going to happen. I mean, I think it seeps through a line
Especially,
4. I don't think a
yeah,
line 4 can help it, honestly. I mean,
yeah.
I
Especially being
don't.
on the conscious side, like
Yeah.
it's just a line 4. They're just friendly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they
Can't
tend to
help
say
it.
like a line 4 wants to be in it, kind of line 6 wants to step back. But I think they both also, like I said, they have aspects of them that also want to hold back a little bit because line 4 doesn't want to be friends with everybody, just the ones
The
that
right
get them,
somebody's.
the ones that get them. So, you know, we also talk about the different types and how this expresses through profile. And so with, you know, a 4-6 generator, manifesting generator, I'd kind of include those two because essentially it's really based on your strategy to make sure that you are responding to life, responding to those things around you. That's going to help you find your people. It's going to help you create those connections, you know, and I want to make sure the generators know that it doesn't have to be like responding to someone saying, "You want to know me? You want to be my friend?" No, it's just like following your interest, what your sacral is lit up by. And then you have to have a for a generator and that sacral response, which is the hardest thing to do, is to have a detached it's almost like a detached response in a way because you respond to things and you get excited, but then you've got to stop making the plans in your head for what's happening next because you're just supposed to respond to one thing, the next thing, the next thing. And so you've got to stay open to what comes your way after you've had the sacral response. And in this case with the 4-6, again, it's a long game. And to realize that your quote unquote body of work is built over a lifetime. You know, you might feel this pressure to understand all the things or to step into that role model status, but to understand that your life is a longer journey of understanding and really embodying who you are. And so with each response to either the people or the environment, things that catch your interest, whatever your sacral is lit up by, is going to help you build that layer by layer, brick by brick foundation in your relationships, but also obviously your networks, so that when this fullness of your 4-6ness is coming to fruition, the foundations are there for you. The projector, the 4-6 projector, again, it's going to be about what, Haley?
Responding to an invitation.
Yes. And since we're talking about 4-6 being so deeply relational and networks, this is going to be extra important for the projector to be responding to the correct invitations because these invitations that we talk about for projectors is for when your energy resources, when your energy is being called forth. So, like, again, it's not like wait to be invited, you know, that you can't go about your day, make your own decisions, do things you want to do, like what you're going to have for dinner or maybe where you want to go on vacation or any of that other shit. It's more about anytime that you are being asked for your energy to be brought into relationship or to, if it involves usually, I say, other people, your money, your time, like it's those things that you want to make sure that the invitations are correct because a projector has an undefined sacral. So they are variable in their energy there. They don't have the same stores of energy like
Yep.
generators, sacral
No
types do.
consistent.
No consistent.
Consistent everyday source of energy. I'll say
Right.
that.
Yeah. And so they can get easily depleted. So, and their energy, and not just that it's like they don't have a sacral energy, they don't have enough energy. It's their energy and what they're designed to do is to be guides and to help others understand the sacral types in general, correct use of their energy. And so they're here to guide and manage others. And so they usually have a certain area of expertise. You know, they're really good at really seeing into other people, into knowing what other people need. And they're very other people focused, way more than a generator is. And so they have a lot to share, but unless they are connecting with the right people, and that would be the people who value what they have to share and recognize what they have to share. Unless it's those people, they can spend a lot of time wasting their energy, getting burnt out, bitter, because people aren't appreciating them. They don't hear them. They're not reacting the way they
don't
should.
listen.
They're not taking your advice. Right. And so you can see with a 4-6, they're going to be really,
Also
especially
with
early
that,
on.
like that need of the 4 and the 6, but the 4 to be in its own space to retreat, I think is even more important when you're a projector type.
Yeah. And yes. And with this configuration of that line 4 first, I think for a projector, they're going to probably want to connect with people. They're going to have more of that maybe drive or tendency to want to initiate some of these connections because, there's that feeling there of having something to share, but it's going to be very important to have your trusted people, but then also just kind of focus on what is interesting to you, what it is that the people you find interesting, what is interesting to you, and stay in that space of curiosity without really reaching or looking to create the
forcing.
connections. Yeah, initiate the connections, sharing your wisdom, sharing your message until the right people invite you in. And it will happen. They will come. It may not feel like it, but they will come. The manifester, same kind of situation in the sense that they also have an undefined sacral. Their energy operates a little differently. And they also have a natural, I think, manifestors have a leadership energy to them in the sense that they are here to initiate the rest of us. They kind of follow their own path a lot. And that's how they're designed, is to kind of follow when it hits their own, inner dialogue, creative flow, whatever you want to call it. And in order to create those strong foundations, those strong relationships, it's going to be important for the manifestor to inform, to keep the path clear throughout the relationship so there's less friction there in the relationships. And that helps build trust in the relationships, because then the other people feel like they're in it with the manifestor. They don't feel like they're just being ghosted all the time and they're maybe not getting the kind of angry reactions from a manifestor when they're interrupted or anything like that. And so the informing part can be very important for the manifestor to help build those relationships so that they can then have those people around them, those trusted network of people, as they bring forth what it is they're here to initiate, but also embody in their life, that they will be there around them. Reflector, as you can imagine, this is an interesting dance here because the reflector, what makes them unique is
they have no defined centers. So
correct.
They have no centers that connect. No defined.
Right. They have defined gates, but no defined centers, no channels. So their whole chart is white. And so one thing that's really different about the reflector, besides that, is the fact that they are incredibly impacted by their environment. They have the strategy, non-strategy they call, of waiting 28 days, in the sense that they are designed to not make any major moves in life until they've gone through a full lunar cycle, 28 days, so that the moon has the opportunity to move through all the gates in the human design mandala. And that helps the reflector at certain times of the month. They could have a different definition within their chart, and they could have certain days of the month feel a little bit more able to get into action. There might be days when they're a little more emotional, where they can have a little more clarity, a little more energy. So there's all that, but it gives them time to kind of really feel into any major decision. Plus, having people around them that they trust, that can just listen to them, help them process what they're contemplating. So that's the main strategy of the reflector. But what happens with the reflector, because they are, as the name suggests, they reflect their environment around them because of all that openness. It's really important to a reflector to make sure that the environment they're in feels good to them. And if it does, that means the people there are also going to be people that are going to, I won't say help them, but it is kind of help them, bring the opportunities to them. Yeah, they say that, a reflector, when it's in an environment where it feels good, it means the people there are supporting them. And then if they're a line 4 on top of that, these are the people that are really going to help
really
them.
Important people.
Yeah, that are going to really help them bring that energy out into the world that they're here to express. But they've got to really pay attention to that environment and how they feel, because if they're in the wrong environments, one, the wrong people are going to be there, but also they can tend to lose themselves in their relationships. So they have to be, especially when you're talking about line 4s and building these strong relationships, they got to make sure they're building the right relationships. They got to have the right foundation there. And that, to me, is going to say they're going to need that time alone, especially with that line 6 as well, to really get that long view, overview, but also to know what it is their energy really feels like when they are themselves, when they are not in auric contact with anyone, and to really check in that, because it's so easy to get caught up in people. Like they really can. They feel everything from everybody around them. But they've just got to, keep checking in with themselves to make sure that they're really living the life they want to be living, and they're not just like living someone else's life because they're so tied to them with their line 4 wanting to be in relationship with people. They got to make sure those relationships are correct for them. So there we go. We got through that. So now, before we wrap up, we'll just take a look at a few charts of a few people that are 4/6s, and just briefly look at them, because I know these people. I know you know these people. I don't know a lot about these people, but I know enough. But I really just like looking at their charts, knowing the little bit I know about them. Yes. So here's the first one.
Okay.
I think you'll like this one.
Okay, waiting. Okay, here we go. Oh, I love him. David Attenborough. I love him.
Sir David Attenborough, sir.
Oh my goodness, he's 99.
Yes, he's still alive.
My dear.
So, tell us about him. He is a
emotional generator. I hadn't even looked at his chart yet. I was like, oh, David Attenborough. I just looked at his name.
Yes, he's
emotional. Wow, look at that G center. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it's lit up. Yeah.
He almost has Yahtzee.
He's an emotional generator. He has single definition. So he has defined G to sacral through the 14-2. He has sacral defined to the root through the 53-42. And then he has the root connected over to the solar plexus through the 39-55. So he has the channels of the beat, maturation, and emoting.
That always makes me think of emojis, which I know is silly, but the internet has destroyed me.
Yeah. So I did a little bit digging into him, because obviously everybody knows him. He's the what would you describe him? He's like,
he's the voiceover king of like Planet Earth and all of the nature documentaries, basically.
Yes. And
I think he actually cares about nature too.
He does. If you look, well, he has that gate 19. He does have that. And he has gate 5. Those are both tied to the natural world. The 5 is his unconscious moon, and the 19 is his unconscious Mercury. Jesus. Interesting.
I couldn't find the 19, but I should know where it is.
Why?
Because I have it.
Yeah. Oh, you mean you couldn't find it on the body graph?
I couldn't find it, yeah.
Not the planet placements, yeah.
No.
He has it twice, actually. He has it in the Mercury 19 and his unconscious Jupiter. Oh, That's so nice. Okay, well that explains a lot. He is very tied to the animals. He loves the animals
Hmm.
in the natural world, but completely open spleen, completely open will center,
Hmm.
undefined throat, undefined ajna, undefined it, and sun in gate 2, earth in gate 1, and then he has 13 in the 7. So that's the right angle cross of the Sphinx too. And so what of course he's known so like you said, he does all these narrates and voiceovers of these documentaries, but when I'm looking at line sixes, when we're doing this research, I always like to look at these public personalities and see what their early
Hmm.
life was like, and
Hmm.
like what they were doing in the early phase, roof phase. So he was born in 1926, and he was like a lot of men in his generation. He was in the service. He was in the Royal Navy. But then after he got out of the service, 1947, so he was
Dang.
still pretty young.
Hmm.
He's only, well, it's,
20 something.
yeah,
21.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy. He was a children's science textbook editor, which he
Oh,
didn't work out, didn't like it. And then in 1950, he applied to be a talk radio producer with the BBC, but he didn't get the position. But somebody he met later
did
on,
he make connections at the
mhm,
BBC?
his resume attracted the head of the new TV broadcasting arm of the BBC. And after 3 months of training, he joined full time in 1952 as a producer. And so this is from Wikipedia. Wikipedia. It says his association with natural history programs began when he produced and presented a 3-part series called Animal Patterns. And
Hmm.
that program featured animals from the London Zoo. And through that program, he met a man named Jack Lester, connection, who was the curator of the zoo's reptile house. And they decided to make a series together about animal collecting expedition. And it was something that was called Zoo Quest, which was first broadcast in 1954, where Attenborough became the presenter because that guy Lester was supposed to be a presenter, but he became ill. So he just stepped into the role as the presenter.
Highline 6.
Yeah, and through the next, couple years, he became, they said, the controller of BBC Two. So I imagine that's like a head of the studio kind of thing. And he was running BBC Two, but he also was able to make programs of his own. And it says when he began with, it was called Life on Earth in 1979. So 79. So how old was he? So how old was he? He was
He was
like
in his
40,
50s.
50s, 40s, 50s. Yeah.
5
Yeah,
plus 2 is
50s.
7.
Yeah. This is when he really started creating the body of work that we know now, which they say has become the benchmark of quality in wildlife filmmaking and influenced a generation of documentary filmmakers. He was a role model. He stepped
Hi.
into it. I love that. I
That's
love
so
that
good.
about him. And so it was just interesting to I love seeing the like triphasic life kind of
Hmm.
play out through sometimes the work. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's not. But with him, it's really
It's pretty
interesting. And
clear.
so, yeah, his single definition, even though he had those open centers, allows him to kind of get his work done. He is a generator. And
Hmm.
so if you look at the channels, the 3950 is individual circuitry. It is
3955.
sorry, 3955. It is the one that's called emoting, and that is about creating from how you feel and what you're
Hmm.
feeling and creating with intention. And the 5342, that maturation, that's the beginning and endings, the cycles, knowing when something is a beginning and ending. I mean, think of all the projects he worked on, brought to completion, like he was made to do
Hmm.
that. And that 14 too, doing work that you love. I mean, the man is now 99 years old.
Yeah.
And he really just made another Netflix special not that long ago. And when he also stepped into it wasn't right away off the roof,
Hmm.
but I mean, because he's had 50 years since he's gotten off the roof, basically. but he has become a leading voice advocate for, like, it was kind of controversial where he started going talking about nature, or he's talked about nature, but one of his latest projects was talking about the impact that we have had as people on destroying our planet, basically, and what we could do to make it better. But it was a different turn, but because I think it comes from him, who was someone who's already so widely respected for his body of work, I think it lands a little bit more. He has
Mm-hmm.
that influence, that leadership, that wisdom that we all listen to. So
Mm-hmm.
that is David Attenborough. So the
Fun.
next two, I'm just fans of. I don't have a ton of background. I'll see, this one. She's kind of kooky. Um, she's kind of kooky. I love her. All right, yeah, I hate her.
Okay.
If you know who she is.
Who do we got? Oh, Lisa Rinna. Yeah, she's a little kooky.
You know who she is.
Yeah, she's a housewife, right?
Yes, she is most,
Or was a
and
housewife?
this year is known as, yes, she's Real Housewives of, can't remember if she's Orange County or Beverly Hills. No. Oh, Beverly Hills. And I like Lisa Rinna. She's weird. I don't like
That's
all
what
her
I thought it
dancing on
was.
Instagram right now. Too much dancing on Instagram. But when I saw her chart, I was like, holy crap. So if you know Housewives, she's a rather shocking individual at times. What's her one channel?
Oh, let me see. Initiation.
Initiation. Gate of Shock is her unconscious son.
Oh, Lord.
And so she is
Wait.
the right angle cross of
sister,
penetration too. She has the same combination gates and her incarnation cross as your husband. They're just in different positions. Because her son's in 53. I believe his is flipped. It's at 54. But so she has a lot of initiating energy. And she is known as someone
she's
who,
a projector.
yeah, she's a projector. She's a
Heart projector.
well, they call it heart, so it's like an ego projector heart. It's the will center is connected to the G center, so those are basically the two heart centers. But anyways, sorry, she would be considered an energy projector, like I said, because she does have that motor. The will center is a motor. The heart center, will center is a motor that works to rest. So she does have to have her downtime. Everything else, she doesn't have any completely open centers, but everything is undefined other than those two centers. And so her sun energy, 53, is about starting things. It's about initiating things. That gate 51, the unconscious sun, is about initiating. It's about either shocking things happening to her or her doing shocking things, which she's definitely known for shaking things up, shocking people, all the things. And
All the things.
I find it really interesting to see her chart to have so much openness in it. And it makes a lot of sense for some of the things she's gotten herself into. That undefined throat, possibly looking for attention. People seeing her in a certain way as being kooky or out there or whatever. I mean, she's pretty open to her environment, But
She also has that 59, that kind of attracting energy.
yeah. But as far as 4-6 goes, she has played the long game. She's always worked. She's been in Hollywood forever. She's worked on Broadway. She's started in soaps, like soap operas.
Oh.
She's someone that says she won't turn down any opportunity to work. That's that will center energy of hers. It's like she loves to work. She probably needs to be told to not work so much. She probably does amplify energy, but she started as a model, and she, both of her daughters are pretty big models now themselves. And, she's just someone that, love her or hate her, she's definitely in this place of just being who she is. Like, that's one thing you can say about her is whether she's living it in a high vibration or not all the time, I always liked her. Everybody's got a little shit talker in them, she certainly does. But, I think, and from what I could see, even though she's no longer on these shows, the people are still friends with her. She's always showing up, has had friends for a long time. And let's face it, she's worked as much as she has in Hollywood because of the connections she's made, and that people can trust her to do what she says she's going to do. She'll show up, she'll work, she'll do it. So, that's an example there. So we can move on from that last one here.
I think I could see some of the kookiness of her just being an overworked projector.
Like I said, I think that undefined emotional solar plexus, that undefined root center, and the head. I mean, there's so much but solid in who she is with that G center. That line 6. She's a lot. Okay, last one.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh, there it is. Sorry. This is somebody I probably know the least about, but I like her too.
Christina Applegate.
Mm-hmm. Do you know who Christina Applegate is?
Let me look her up.
Do you know that show Dead to Me? No, you don't know Christina Applegate?
Yeah. She was Ted Lasso's wife, right?
No.
Oh. She's a very similar actress. She's an anchorman.
She was an anchorman. She was started in Married with Children. Kelly Bundy was, she was a little trashy daughter on Married with Children.
Do you know she has MS?
Yes. Yes, I did. And so else who has built a body of work over time, you look at her chart, there's a lot on that happening on the left side of the chart. So let me back up. She's the right angle across the sleeping Phoenix 4. She's a manifesting generator, pure manifesting generator.
Whoa.
Yeah. Her sun and earth are in that 3420 position. Her unconscious sun and earth are in the 5956. And so this is somebody that not only being a 4-6, very relational, but also having that gate 59 as her unconscious sun in the line 6 is going to mean that it's probably easier for her to make those connections with people and create those relationships, at least the opportunity for those relationships, because that 59 at its work of putting people at ease and drawing people in that attraction field, but also that line 4 also does that for her as well. But you see the unconscious 4816. So she's, the whole left side of her chart there coming off the throat is making connections. 3457, 3420, 5720, 4816. So a lot happening on that side, which would, also if you think about the 4816 is the wavelength, but that is also that over time finding her craft,
perfecting your
her
craft,
skills, a body of work, which she's certainly had. She's been working since she was very young and always in generally TV and movies. She's only now 53 years old. She's only now coming off the roof in the last couple of years. She just got that MS diagnosis in the last 2 or 3 years, I believe it was, which was, she had before that, she had breast cancer too.
Jeez.
And she has that BRCA, or whatever that gene is, that's the genetic breast cancer gene that even though she had a breast cancer scare, it was manageable, but I think she said she just had a double mastectomy because she has that gene that if she were to get breast cancer again or it show up, it's a death sentence for a lot of women with that gene. But so when, just looking at her chart, another single definition. So probably the challenge for her in her relationships would be the whole being the manifesting generator, following that sacral, but also making sure that the people around her know what's going on, because that's going to help her build that trust with people. But it's probably a challenge for her with that single definition and how she's defined, um, is probably a very feeling that pull between that self focus, that long view kind of thing, like wanting to be, having those connections with people and everything, but also probably a lot of times moving to her own rhythm, her own way of doing
Mm-hmm.
things because of the way she's designed. I wish I knew more about her, but I don't. And sorry if that's a bad example, but I just like, I mean, completely open head. That's
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, not
Um,
a single bit.
Not a single bit. Well, it's only 3 gates. It's
Completely
possible.
open will as well.
Oh, we have that in common. But anyway, so just a few charts to look at that carry that 4-6 energy. I just, when you see how different people can be. I mean, a lot of times when we're looking at these charts, too often, unfortunately, we are looking at people that are really in entertainment because these are
It's the most
celebrity
information we have.
for public life. Might be a politician here and there. So I like seeing David Attenborough, even though he's like quote unquote entertainment, is a little different, I think.
I mean,
But
because he's not like an actor or something like that.
no, but it will be interesting to see with Christina how the next phase of her life goes, with these diagnoses, with the work that she's put in behind her. They did say that when she had that diagnosis, she was in the middle of filming or just started filming a second or third season, Dead to Me, which was really good. And she talked about that through the love and the friendships that she had with her co-star and the director and through everybody else, like these people really loved her and supported her and wanted to keep working with her even though she's going through this health crisis that impacted everybody because of how they had to work her schedule and how they even had to shoot things, and because she would have to like walk with a cane or whatever, like is a lot. And but because she had built those relationships with those people, it meant a lot to her and to them. It meant a lot more to them, I think, even to support her in getting through this and getting through the season, which I thought was really nice. So I
Mm-hmm.
think she's going to, in the next, as she moves on, she's going to be seen even more as a influential person as far as what she has to share about her life, what she's been through, and what she continues to go through. And I think it will land with a lot of people. And I know
Mm-hmm.
she'll have the support behind her to get her there. So that's it. Let's wrap it up. So if you're a 4-6, just remember that your influence, your message, what you're here to do in life, you've got time. If you're not quite off the roof there, you're still building your body of work. You're still building your foundation. You're still building those networks and those connections. And you will always be building those connections. And your influence is not necessarily about scale and world domination. You can get there, but it is about depth. It's about the depth of your relationships. It's the depth of your knowledge, your wisdom of what you've lived in life. Like you are the role model. It's not what you're doing, it's who you are and how you're
Mm-hmm.
being. And to keep, really pouring into relationships, the more you do that, the more opportunities will rise and the more you will be able to then help your networks through the embodiment of who you are. So just show up as you because they love you for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's the 4-6. So, all right, babe. Now we've got to the end of the episode. You know what it means. It's time for
The incarnation cross of the week.
hoo, bringing it home. That's right. We're going to do our favorite segment to end the episode, which is the incarnation cross of the week, where, as you just heard us talking about a couple here, incarnation crosses. Basically, cross comes from where in the chart, Haley?
The placements of your sun and earth on your conscious and unconscious side.
Right, because those 4 gates represent the bulk of your, let's
Mm-hmm.
say, energy in this life of how you are
They're
going
the
to.
they're the heavy hitters.
Right, because as we just talked about, those profile lines there are in those sun and earth gates.
Mhm.
And so, like we said, you could have left angle crosses, right angle crosses, people that have personal destiny, people that their destiny is more involved learning through other people, and juxtaposition in between the 4-1, a little different. But anyways, so it's very much kind of a synopsis and encapsulation of what your energy is here to express, what it's here to bring into the world. Some might call it like your life purpose, your path, doesn't mean you have to make it happen. You don't have to do anything in this cross. This is the energy that is imprinted on your soul, so that if you're just following your strategy and authority, you're just being most authentically who you are, these energies just naturally shine their brightest at their highest vibration. And what we're sharing here today is a little synopsis of what that could look like, of what your life and your impact is all about. So
Mhm.
there's 192 of them. We've been highlighting them for a year and a half, 2 years, I don't know, something like that.
A while.
We've repeated a couple because I didn't keep notes very well, but I've been trying to do better. But today we have the left angle cross of refinement.
Ooh.
You ready,
So a
Haley?
left angle cross, meaning profile starts with a 5 or a 6.
There you go. And so the gates that we have here on the conscious side of the chart, right side of the chart, black numbers, you'll see the sun is in gate 33, privacy. The earth is in gate 19, wanting. On the left side of the chart, the red numbers, the design, the unconscious side, whatever you want to call it, the sun is in gate 2, direction of the self, also known as the receptive. And the earth would then be in gate 1, self-expression.
So we have privacy, wanting, direction of the self, and self expression.
Self-expression. That's correct. How'd you get that? Okay. So if you were born under the left angle cross of refinement, your purpose is to inspire others to discover the beauty of authenticity in their personal spaces and relationships. You show them that true expression is both an art form and a source of inspiration. By helping people create environments that reflect their inner essence, you encourage them to see their surroundings as mirrors of their unique identities. You motivate others to embrace their individuality in every aspect, crafting spaces and relationships that truly resonate with who they are. Your mission is to transform how people perceive community and partnership, illustrating that genuine connections are founded on transparency and shared purpose. By challenging outdated views on relationships and compromise, you empower individuals to rewrite their narratives to reflect self-worth and shared values. You guide others in fostering spaces and connections that nurture lasting, meaningful bonds grounded in mutual authenticity and purpose.
Good. It is good.
Refining.
Nice little hug.
Spaces, places, people.
People, places, things. Nouns.
Yeah. So there we go. Wrapping up another episode. So we will be back next week. We are going to be looking at, wait, I have it. I have a list. We're going to look at the 5-2 profile next week.
Oh.
Mysterious. Mysterious 5-2. I'm going to get into that double projection field. Yeah, lots of windows. Open and closed. All over the place. But we really appreciate you being here today, listening to us. I hope we gave you some insight on the 4-6. If you are one, or you know one, or you love one, hope this has helped. We really appreciate you being here. Otherwise, we're just talking to ourselves, which we would do. But at least my line 4 is fulfilled, knowing I'm bringing it to you.
And your line 1 is happy.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, so until next week, we will be chatting with you later. And bye for now, Haley.
Bye.
You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.